Mrs. Maisel makes me jealous. Just wish I was this funny, like on the spot, in the middle of a conversation. Every line it feels like that she's spewing out is hilarious, and I'm just sitting here like, I want to be like her. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about one of my most anticipated seasons of television on the year. That is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel Season 3. I reviewed Season 2 on this channel, and today we're going to talk about what I liked, didn't like, and I need you in the comments section. Is this a show that appeals to you, and were you a fan of Season 3? So, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel Season 3, Midge and Susie discover that life on tour with Shy is glamorous but humbling, and they learn a lesson about show business that they will never forget. Joel struggles to support Midge while pursuing his own dreams, and Abe embraces a new mission while Rose learns that she has talents of her own. So once again, Rachel Brosnahan coming in for the win and dominating her screen time as Mrs. Maisel. She is as good as she ever has been. And Alex Borstein as Susie, I love this character so much. I talked about the banter a bit earlier. It is as strong in Season 3 as it's ever been between all of the characters, but really, Susie and Midge, that's why you're here. That's why we signed up. And this time, it's a bit different because she's finally, well, she's not made it yet, but she's getting closer. She's on tour. She's on the road. We spend a lot of time at a casino, and we spend a lot of time with these new characters interacting. Shy and his agent, played by Sterling K. Brown, and I'm like, I didn't know, but he's great. He is fantastic. They're all really good. The acting is so good, and that's one thing I'll say about this show is one of the best directed shows on television. The executive producing, everything about it on a technical level is wonderful. The shots are as brisk and great, and the movement is as good as it's ever been. The color correction, of course, stands out. It's such a colorful, but a timely show that fits perfectly in the time period. I've never found one mistake. Oh, that didn't take place in this time. No, it's never felt modern. It always feels like it takes place in that specific time. A lot of new things going on this season. A lot of character interactions that maybe I did not expect. We'll get into Abe's interactions here in just a second. Abe is going through his own, kind of like a midlife crisis, as is Rose, and she says it in this season. Why did you do this for me? Why did you make me want to stand up for myself, become my own person? Because life was easy when everything was being handed, when the trust fund, which that gets explored in this season, was being handed to us, and neither of them have a career, basically, at this point, because they both wanted to move on with their lives. Not necessarily from each other, but from that portion, and that storyline was one of the most entertaining things that I've seen from any of the seasons. I mean, they're just struggling to cope with their new lives. It is hilarious along the way. Like I said, Midge and Susie, they're on a new journey. Susie's in a plane for the very first time. She's freaking out consistently, constantly, because she's doing new things. There's a scene where she learns how to swim, and it's just entertaining watching them go back and forth. Now, one thing I will say about this season is I can see, and I've seen the complaint online, I can see how some are becoming, maybe growing tired of the banter. I mean, the constant banter, the back and forth. Don't get me wrong, it's witty dialogue. It's very well written, but we never really get a chance to sit and breathe when Midge or when Susie or even when Abe is in the room. Now, Joel's storyline is a bit different. With his storyline, we get a chance to kind of sit down, soak it all in, and not have constant dialogue. And this isn't me saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that that will be the common critique, the common complaint of Season 3. Not that it did not take place in the other seasons, but it's becoming something that may be overbearing for some. And I saw the Rotten Tomatoes score earlier of this season. It's a bit lower than it has been. Granted, not as many people have reviewed it because it's only the first day, but it is a bit lower than it has been for Mrs. Maisel, and that's kind of a disappointment for me because I think I like this season more than Season 2. Season 2 had a nice backdrop to it. We're in a new location. We're kind of getting out of our comfort zone in Season 2, and it's definitely the case with Season 3. I just found the screenplay to be a bit better in this season. I found the storylines, a lot of them, but I found all of them to be just a step higher in quality in this season. And this very subtle storyline between Midge and Joel, I don't mean the storyline itself because that's not subtle. It takes up a lot of time in this season. I just mean the emotion that they're carrying, this burden that they have on their hearts that they display towards each other, I mean, all throughout the season, whether it's a look or a nod or the fact that they're struggling more than maybe they even let on to with the fact that they're finally going through with the divorce. Now, Not to dive too deep into spoiler territory, but that comes back into play later on in the season. You'll see why, and that storyline was pretty hilarious. But even the judge says it when they go in for their divorce. He's like, you guys want to think this over? I mean, the fact that he's standing here supporting you. But here's my thing, is that storyline was such a big part of Season 2. I was never on board with them getting back together. I always want, because I feel like that's the best for Midge, and I think that's the best for Joel, and Joel is proving to be a better person than he has been in prior seasons, and he's becoming more likable. Not that I didn't like, I keep backtracking my opinion, not that I did not like Joel in the other seasons, it's just, I didn't really want them to get back together, and now they're going their separate ways. For the most part, there's still something that's happening in this season, but they're going their separate ways, and they're finding a bit of a new spark in new or old characters. Midge is constantly toying with things throughout the season. Lenny Bruce is back, and there was some banter, and let's get into it. Abe and Lenny Bruce. It was very slight. Didn't happen all that often. But when it happened, I really enjoyed seeing it. It's like these are two characters that I never thought would meet up, and Abe wanted to get kind of the insight into, okay, who is this Lenny Bruce guy? What was up with the flowers? They see it. They have an experience together. I thought it was hilarious, and they had this mutual respect for each other, and you see that. And there were just a bunch of character pairings in this season. There's also a storyline. Jane Lynch's character of Sophie is back, and she caused quite a bit of trouble in Season 2. But Susie is actually toying with the fact, at the beginning of the season, not a major spoiler, with representing Sophie as an agent. And her argument to Midge is, hey, listen, if I am this and associates, I have to be able to represent more people than just you. I have to further my career. You're making quite a bit more money than I am, so I have to do what's best for myself. And that is a very good conflict at the beginning of the season that I did not see coming, frankly, and I really liked the addition of that storyline. Now, it gets resolved a bit quicker than I wanted it to. Not resolved in the sense that you expect, but they don't hit on it as much. And there are a few storylines in there in this season. I'm like, well, I wish they would have hit on that a bit more. I wish they would have done more with this particular character. But all of the subplots going on really play well towards each other. Even Rose's trust fund storyline, when she goes off to Providence and does her thing there, I found that to be entertaining, and it built on her character, and we're always going to flash back to Midge because that's what this show is all about. I also like the characters that she's on the road with this season. She's finally living the life that she's been wanting to live for so long. Not quite there yet, but she's getting there. She's slowly establishing herself, whether it's trying to figure out how do we replace this picture because they caught me with my dress up, or how do I get this distracted crowd to pay attention to me? I mean, this is not what I'm used to, and that's Midge's perspective going into a lot of these comedy routines, these acts, and she's having to recoup from a show that maybe she didn't perform as well in this and that, and it causes for, you know, the controversy that you expect in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but it's also entertaining, and it's also fun, and I just think the wittiness of this script, I mean, it's as good in this season as it's ever been, and like I said, that's going to be something that distracts some, did not distract me, because I find the way that these characters interact with each other, it's almost unrealistic at times. It's like, okay, people aren't that witty, but it provides for a lot of entertainment. And if you're on board for where this show is and the tone that it's going for, and the humor, my goodness, I mean, the casino scene when they're both walking around, well, all of them when they pair up and go around, that should have been something. That should have been something. Apple, pear, this, that should have been something. And they're spouting out this dialogue like it's nothing, like they're naturally doing it. And the show never feels like they're reading a script. It always feels so cohesive, and I was so impressed with the fact that this show in Season 3 is still maintaining quality. Whether you're getting sick and tired of how nonstop it is, I think that's up to the viewer, and I do think some people are going to fall off this season, maybe even more than Season 3. But for me, it's a show that works. It's a show that continues to thrive. It's one that keeps me on my toes. I'm so invested in Midge. I'm so invested in her character, her relationship with Susie, and I love everything about this show. I didn't think this season was perfect. I do think it's about in line with Season 2. I just want to say before I give my score, if you guys enjoy this video, if you like these Amazon Prime reviews and streaming reviews in general, hit that thumbs up button. It helps out this channel and this video. And I'm going at 85% for this season of The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. If you're a fan of this series, if you enjoy these characters, I think you're going to get a lot out of this season. Not everyone is going to love it. I may need to think about it all a bit more, but as of right now, 85%. Really solid season of television. Watched all 8 episodes episodes, and it's just a breeze, man. It's such a breeze to get through, especially if you're on board with these characters. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. More reviews to come this weekend, and be on the lookout because my top 10 comic book movies of the decade video is coming out probably Saturday morning. So stay tuned, hit that notification bell. You guys are the best. Thanks for watching. I love Mrs. Maisel.